I have a question for Lila and Kristen
here.
Where
are you? It's been 2 hours.
So if you guys had to steelman the other side and be charitable, what is the best argument that you come up against from the other side, the most compelling argument the other side makes? And Lila, let's have you go first. Go ahead.
So I would say it's not the consciousness argument, because I do think that is pretty, it's pretty arbitrary, and it's also the moral intuition that's sort of guiding destiny. You could easily apply that before consciousness. So I don't think consciousness, and also you can be unconscious when you're sleeping or under anesthetic, and a toddler has less consciousness than an adult, etc. So it doesn't really work. I think the most effective pro-choice, pro-abortion arguments are the appeals to extreme emotion and very tragic cases.
Right. Oh my
and
God.
those are I think what win the most people over, because they say, oh my gosh, I can't imagine forcing a rape survivor to give birth to the rapist baby. So you hear these really tragic cases that are horrific, that are heartbreaking, and they tug on a lot of people's heartstrings. And the pro-life response to that, of course, to hearing this horrifically tragic case of this very young girl who's the victim of incest or rape, and she's pregnant, is to acknowledge that it's horrific, because it is, and it should never have happened.
Sure.
And that girl deserves justice, and that perpetrator needs to be held accountable. And then you have to ask the question, okay, what next, right? What is the next thing to do here? And the girl needs medical care, she needs counseling, she needs to be removed from that dangerous situation. But is the answer to commit an act of violence against this new, now third party in this scenario, this preborn life that is not the perpetrator of the crime?
This was my steelman position.
It has I'm responding to
not necessarily
I'm responding
your
to
position, but just
the
steelman position,
generally
generally speaking.
And in this country, we give the death penalty. We actually are forbidden by federal law to give the death penalty to rapists in the United States. But in an abortion, you would be giving the death penalty to that preborn life. And when you're doing that too, it's done in the name of protecting that girl or that woman, but that act of abortion isn't going to unrape her. It's not going to take away the trauma that she endured by the rape. It's only going to levy another unjust act against her, that child, that developing life that deserves life just like you and me. So while it's a horrifically tragic case, unfortunately, when it's represented without any counterpoint in media, I think it is effective in winning people to the pro-choice side.
Okay. We had second-class citizenship for a long time in our country, and throughout human history, we've tried second-class citizenship, and it's, saying that children who were conceived out of wedlock, for example, used to be considered bastards and not be allowed to own property or obtain certain, levels of positions in their professional lives. And we said, no, that's actually wrong. Like, a child is not at fault for what happens the night of his or her conception, or the state of marriage of his or her parents, that the child is unique, whole living human life that deserves fundamentally the right to not be killed, that right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So yeah, my answer would be the same as Lila's.
Same as hers? Okay, got it. And Destiny, what would you say is the best argument that you come
why
up
would
against?
They didn't stand by my position at all. Why the fuck would I give them any leeway whatsoever? That was insane. Holy shit.
Well, don't necessarily steelman, but what is the best argument you come up against from the pro-life side? As someone who's pro-choice.
The emotional ones, when they bring out the tools and like, this is what it's like to kill a baby in the womb.
Or just saying child.
Obviously, the issue is that all pro-lifers are fucking unhinged lunatics, and the only way they can ever win any argument is with charts and graphs of this is what a fetus looks like when you're cutting it apart and terminating
showing
it,
people
and
what
when you're
actually
vacuuming
happens.
it out, and the baby cries. You can hear the baby go, woo! As it's getting sucked into the vacuum. Those are the best arguments. They're so good, and they're so hard to argue against, because how can you argue against crying people?
I debated a pro-choice scholar one time, and I actually asked her. We had a really great conversation. She was actually being intellectually honest at the end of the conversation. And she and
to be clear, their skill man in my position was be emotional.
She and I exchanged a lot of emails back and forth, and we were going back of what we thought each other's best arguments were. And I thought it was very interesting that you didn't really want to answer the question earlier.
You didn't answer these questions at all.
About what if I'm wrong versus what are you wrong?
I did answer that question.
Because I actually think your position's extreme. It's a very reckless position.
Yeah, so was yours.
To start
especially
saying,
when you talk about women's rights.
No, because your recklessness results in tens of millions of children being put to death. That's the result of your recklessness.
There's already like tens of millions of children dying every day to accidental miscarriages anyway, so it's not like that much worse. If I buy into your position, right?
So because children die from car accidents, it's okay to run them over with a car?
No, I'm saying that it
That's
wouldn't
what
be
you
less. It
said,
wouldn't be as
the logical
tragic if
conclusion of what you said.
20,000 children died from car accidents if there were already like a million
You're saying
children.
because there's accidental
dying.
deaths,
No, what
intentional
I'm saying
deaths
is
are
that if you're
okay.
trying to make some appeal to a broader tragedy, the
No, we're
tragedy
saying
loses a
that-
lot of gravity.
No,
Still
we're
answer the
saying that-
question I posed earlier.
What is the question I'm not answering?
Because what if you're wrong?
I already answered. If I'm wrong, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
Who are you, Catholic or religious?
That's actually
wait.
that's
What
actually
is your
the hardest
denomination?
argument for the pro-choice
What is your
side of it.
denomination?
Why does that matter?
Well, what if you're wrong?
I am Catholic. I converted to
Okay,
Catholicism.
well, what if you're wrong?
I've considered that a lot.
Well, what if you're wrong? You're really wrong.
I've considered
like,
that.
that's
yeah.
like the worst type of
Yeah,
wrong.
I've
Because
absolutely-
not
If-
only
if
not
someone-
like forget everything that happens on earth, you're like eternally fucked, right? If you're wrong on that.
If
So
like,
what? For being
'cause
Catholic?
you'll
Why?
go to some other hell or some other dimension of, I don't know. Wouldn't that be like the worst thing in the world to be wrong about? Probably more important than the abortion thing. Is who the big man in the
If
sky
someone-
is.
I
This is
get-
why this is why I referenced earlier. It's called Pascal's wager. This is why it's stupid to think like, well, what if I'm wrong about this particular thing? Because you have to assign probabilities.
Because you don't, but what you're doing is you just like, you're making these judgments of, well, it's consciousness somewhere 20, 24 weeks. If you're driving and it's a dark road at the end of the night and you're tired and you see a shadow in the middle of the road and you're like, that could be a small child, or it could just be a shadow coming off the tree.
Yep, and
Do
in
you
your world,
speed up?
running over the shadow is the same thing as running over the
no,
child.
in our
No.
world,
Yes,
you
it is.
avoid
No.
running it over.
Well, because
In
if you
our
wait a minute,
world,
won't the child
you
run across the
slow
road and the
down
shadow will
you
become the
stop
child?
And you investigate to make sure you're not running a child. In your world, and the view you're taking is, screw it, I'm going to speed up and I'm going to go through the shadow and just hope to God it's a shadow and it's not a child.
What
That's
if
it.
you're
That's
wrong?
why,
What if-
that's
wait,
what
what
I
if-
mean. It's
what
a
if-
reckless decision.
Yeah, what if you're wrong?
What if I am
If someone,
wrong?
Yeah.
if someone
What if
can
you're
prove,
wrong?
hey, Destiny, if you
Hi.
or someone can prove me wrong, I will happily
Well, no, you will
learn.
never. But
No,
like,
I
what if you
would.
what if
I
you were
would.
wrong?
No.
If someone can prove to me that
Well, no, I'm
this is not
curious
a human
because you
life-
made me deal with the gruesome details
Yeah.
of the tens of
If-
millions
if-
of babies
if-
being murdered. So what if you're
If
wrong?
I am wrong, if
Uh-huh.
I am wrong about abortion, and
Yeah.
abortion is nothing but removing a clump of cells
Yep.
that has no meaning whatsoever. It's
Yep.
just like removing your appendix,
Yep.
which, by the way, majority of people would disagree
Yep.
with because we
So
all
much
seen
normative
ultrasounds.
loading. I love how qualifying
Okay,
you're
well, no, I'm
getting.
just
Go ahead.
showing
It's all good.
science,
No,
right?
it's bad
So if
tactic.
I
Go
am
ahead.
wrong and it's
Yep.
nothing, and every vaginal canal is suddenly magical and
Yep,
turns
the magic
nothing
and the
into
magic
a baby.
conscious fairy too.
Yeah,
Go
that's
along.
right,
Yeah.
because
Keep
you
going.
believe in a lot of
Yep.
magic to justify
I'm
your
helping her
position.
steelman her. Yeah, go ahead.
No, if I am wrong,
Yep.
and this is really magical,
Yep,
what
very.
I have done in my life's work in advocating against abortion
Uh-huh.
is saying that women who may not want to gestate another human being in their womb for 9 months had to be inconvenienced. That's what if I am wrong.
Okay.